Hey guys, hi Anthony, Nitz here. How you doing? Hey, just wanted to kind of share with you some information, good old real estate stuff. I'm always talking about real estate stuff because that's what I do, guys. It's real estate all the time, every day. So, uh, in our most recent publication, California Real Estate, that we got, I found an article that I was looking at. I thought, this is pretty interesting, where they're talking about stepping up for a slowdown. So the Association magazine is trying to give us a heads up and say, hey, you might want to get prepared because it says here, signs point to a statewide slowdown ahead. And although no one wants to admit it, we may even be looking at an economic recession a few years down the line. And who knows? I mean, nobody knows for sure. It's funny because the last time we had the big market crash, even the federal government didn't predict that, right? Everybody was kind of like going, gosh, how is this sustainable? They questioned it, but nobody ever said, okay, we're there and it's going to start crashing. It like happened and everybody acted surprised. How did that happen? But whatever, that's beside the point. And they're also talking about agents getting ready to start working with foreclosures and short sales again. And I find that very interesting because, when articles are put out like this, something that always kind of bothered me was they put them out from a large regional aspect. So they're putting it out for the entire state of California, for all the numbers for the entire state of California. Well, you guys know here in Orange County, we do have our own little economic climate here. We really do. And so do these things apply? Sometimes they do. A lot of times they don't when we apply it specifically to Orange County or even specifically to sections of Orange County. And so it's important to take those things into consideration. So I thought what I do is I just share with you some interesting market statistics so you can kind of see what's going on with the market right now. So I'm looking at all of Orange County, and this is since 2014. You'll kind of see, patterns. This is a typical pattern. What we're looking at right now is we're looking at months of supply. And so what that means is if we took no more listings, if we didn't add any new listings to the inventory right now, how long would it take to sell everything? And based on this report here, it's telling us that it would currently take 4.3 months to sell our entire inventory if we added no new inventory to the to our total inventory. And so, but what I do find interesting about this is that you see, so back in 2014, we're still in sort of a recovery mode of the real estate market. We also kind of had another little mini recession thing happen there, but so inventory went up, but then you see it went down and it went down and it went down. I mean, we were down to the point where we had 1.8 months of inventory. So basically, if they stopped taking listings, they would just vaporize. the listings would vaporize. But since 2017, you'll see that number's climbed. And yeah, October, always during the holidays. So you always see the end of the year is always on the downward slope there because fewer people put their house on the market then. But we get down to this downward slope, but it's starting to go up. So it's going up and up and up. And that's kind of a good thing in a sense for people who are looking to buy, because now it's going to give them a lot more options. But for people who are selling, who are kind of going, you know what? Oh man, we can just name our price and name our whatever terms on our listing. That's going to kind of soften that a little bit. So you got to be a little more strategic in how you do your pricing. Let's take a look at the days on market too. So this is interesting too. And of course, obviously, since back then, days on market have dropped drastically. But again, since May of 2018, those days on market have gone up. And so at one point in time back in February of this year, we were at 58 days on market. Let's clarify what days on market mean. Days on market means how many days until you get an accepted offer. So it isn't how long did it take you to put it on the market and actually close escrow. No, a lot of people for some reason confuse that. It's how many days until you get an accepted offer. So back in February, it was almost 2 months before you got an offer. And it was funny because I remember people freaking out going, Anthony, why don't I have an offer? It's been, 3 days. My God. Right now at the end of July, we're at 43 days. Okay. So 43 days is what the average number of days on market is in Orange County. And so you have to kind of expect that and have some realism about that. But now, as you go lower in the price range, if you have anything that's decent in the under $600,000 price range, those things are getting snapped up pretty darn quick because there's an affordability issue. That's what people can afford, and that's what they need to buy right now. The higher the prices go, the more time it's going to take on the market. Let's take a look at number of closed sales. So number of closed sales. So it's kind of, you can see just the pattern repeats year over year. And, but over in the 2018 right here, you see these numbers are much lower than the last 3 years as far as closed sales. So with the closed sales, the numbers dropping a little bit. Part of that has to do with, it's not because people aren't buying, people want to buy. Part of the problem with that is there's been an interesting shift. Back in the olden days when I first started 22 years ago selling real estate, it was a hard known fact that the average amount of time somebody stayed in a home was 5 to 7 years. That's not really average, but that's just, the typical time was 5 to 7 years. Okay. So you can count on a good number of people turning over that house and moving up to the next level and all stuff. But that is based on a growth of about 5% in the marketplace per year. Okay. But over the last couple of years, what's happening is sellers just aren't selling. They're buying their home and they're staying in their homes. They're staying there for, 10, 15, 20 years, staying there forever. Because the reality is they're kind of going, okay, well, gosh, unless we're moving out of state, what can we buy? What can we replace this with that we can actually afford? Because, they buy it for $600,000. It might be worth $800,000, but to get a better quality house for what they have at $900,000, now they're paying way more than what they were paying at the $600,000 mortgage price. So they just kind of settle and say, well, we're going to stay there. So that's a good thing. And it's a bad thing because it just makes it so it's really difficult for people to find a home because there's not a lot to choose from. But it just is what it is. So right now, in the end of July, there was only 2,843 closed sales in the multiple listing service. Now consider the fact that in Orange County, there's roughly about 650,000 homes and only 2,843 homes have sold. Wow. That's a small percentage. Industry experts have always said, if you are in what would be considered a normal, just stable, consistent market would be 10% of the entire inventory is constantly in a turnover state. So basically, if that was the case, that would mean 65,000 homes every month in Orange County would sell. Guys, we're not even close to that. So you can see we've got inventory issues that way. So again, that's good for sellers because then it gives them that leverage to push up. But also when we're talking about affordability, it doesn't matter how high they push and say, well, guess what? I've got what you want, and I'm going to charge, a price way beyond what it's probably really worth. If people can't afford it, they just can't afford it and they can't buy it. And then we limit the market. So let's take a look at new listings coming into the market. So, and this is pretty interesting because it's very, very consistent every single year, right? And May there was 4,200. June there was 3,500, and now there's about 3,600 that came into the market just at the end of by the end of July. So you can see what's happening here. It's Days on market are starting to slightly increase. Months of supply is definitely increasing because now more people are putting it on the market and not selling as quickly as they had hoped. And then the sales prices, well, you can see right there in July for the median sales price is $725,000 for Orange County. The median sales price. If we look at the average, though, if you look at the average sales price, we're talking about $915,000 for a house. So, anyways, guys, if you're thinking about selling a home, have questions about selling homes, anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm sorry, I should have done that full screen there with the stats on there. But 915, yeah, you can see that $915,000. But yeah, if you have any desire to just get your questions answered, guys, I'm happy to answer questions. I'm always happy to answer questions. Look, I know, sadly not everybody uses me. That's okay. I get it. But if you have questions, feel free to call me anyways, because I'm happy to answer anytime about anything having to do with real estate. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. We will talk to you on the next one. Take care.